Hi everyone, welcome back to another week of the Saskatchewan Physio Project. As you know, my name is Chris. This week we're going to be discussing lower back pain, how to address it and how to treat it. Keep in mind though that in these videos we're going to be discussing mild to moderate back pain. In the event that you suffer from severe back pain, it's important to see your doctor or physiotherapist before incorporating any exercise or treatment to treat the back pain. Okay everyone, so to start off this video we're very briefly going to be discussing how one is supposed to sit when sitting on really anything, a chair, a bench, sitting on the floor perhaps. So if we think of the anatomy of our hips for a moment, or our pelvis, there are two large bones at the base of our pelvis. Their names aren't necessarily important, but some people might hear them referred to as our sit bones. And that's what we want to be sitting on when we're sitting on anything, because this puts our pelvis, as we discussed last week, in an appropriate alignment, and that takes a lot of the bend and the flex out of our back. And oftentimes when we have this unfortunate bend in our back, that can be one of the main causes of lower back pain. So if we think of ourselves sitting up nice and tall, and if we can imagine a string coming out of the top of our head, when we're sitting we want to imagine that string pulling us up, and our pelvis is going to be rotating. So when we feel that we're sitting down, we feel some pressure on these two bones in our pelvis, and that's what we call our sit bones. So that's how we want to be sitting to try and alleviate some of the pain that we might be experiencing in our lower back due to sitting improperly. Alright everyone, so as you can see I'm sitting on the floor here, and obviously this first exercise that we're going to be doing, you wouldn't want to be doing it on a hard cement floor that I'm doing, but for the purpose of demonstration I think this will work just fine. So this first exercise that we're going to be doing is going to be working our hips and our glutes, or our butt muscles. It's going to be helping to support our pelvis, particularly when we're sitting, and hopefully it's going to help to alleviate some of the lower back pain that we might be experiencing. So to start off, we're going to be laying down on the ground with our back flat on the floor and our knees bent like this. We can place our hands down on the ground as well, and we're essentially just going to lift our hips by squeezing our butt. We're going to be lifting our hips up into the air. So we're going to go 1, hold, and down, and 2, etc. And so we can do that for 2 or 3 sets of 10. So 10 times, take a rest, repeat it another 2 or 3 times. And that's the first exercise.
Alright everyone, so another thing we need to think about when we're considering low back pain are our abdominals. So our abdominals work against gravity all the time because gravity is always forcing us into this bent over posture. So one of the things we can do for that is actually just a simple plank, and it'll help maintain a tight core around our low back area. So for a plank, it's just as simple as coming down onto your elbows on a nice soft surface. I'm on a nice mat like this. So you're going to come down onto your elbows and up onto your toes, and you're going to think of squeezing your tummy up to the sky and squeezing your butt nice and tight. So you're going to come up to your elbows and squeeze your core.
This next exercise that we're going to be doing is actually a yoga stretch. So if anyone in the office does yoga, you might have seen this exercise before. It's a cat stretch, it's what it's called. And it's a very nice exercise or a stretch to help stretch the back muscles in both directions. Oftentimes when people experience back pain, it's because the back or the lower spine is in a flexed position for a long time, and the back doesn't get a chance to go into extension very much, or bending the opposite way. Our shoulders are leaning back. So this stretch helps to bend the spine in both directions to help alleviate some of the stress that we might be feeling in our lower back. So I'm just going to demonstrate this for you now. So particularly with this exercise, as you can see I'm doing it on a hard cement floor. Obviously that's not ideal, but if you're doing it on a hard surface, you want to be putting some sort of padding underneath your knees, because you are going to be on your hands and knees for a few seconds. So we're going to be going on our hands and knees like this. To start, we want our spine to be flat, or as flat as possible, and we're essentially going to be moving like a cat. We're doing a cat stretch. So firstly, we're going to be tucking our chin in and rounding our back like this. And we're going to be holding that for a few seconds. And then lifting our chin and our head up. We're going to be bending or extending the spine downward. Holding. And then repeating. And then as we're done, we want to be coming back to that neutral spine or that flat spine for a second.
Okay, so another thing that we can do to stretch out our lower back is a little bit of a rotational movement. So our backs move in all kinds of planes of motion. And by plane of motion, I just mean in multiple directions. So one of the things that it does is rotates a lot. And lots of time people get really stiff backs in that plane of motion. So the thing that we can do for that is just a low back stretch with a little bit of rotation. A simple version would just be to lay simply on your back. What you're going to do is you're going to stay flat on the ground and just let your legs rotate to one side. Leave them there for a little while, maybe 30 seconds, and then come to the other side for 30 seconds as well. And you can repeat that multiple times.
Alright, so that concludes the video for this week. Thank you everyone for watching. We hope that some of these tips and tricks and exercises will help to treat some of the back pain that some of the staff indicated that they're experiencing at work. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us at our email, sasktelphysioproject@gmail.com. If anyone is a little unsure about contacting us, we want to make sure that everyone's aware that only myself and Adrian have access to this email. Any information will be kept completely confidential. So to conclude, I have a couple goals for the staff that are watching this video for this week. Please try to make sure that we're sitting up nice and tall and sitting on those sit bones that I discussed earlier, and try to incorporate at least 2 of the exercises that I've showed into your exercise regimen throughout the week. Even if you have a couple minutes at lunch going into the gym, trying to stretch or loosen up that back is going to help, hopefully. And so once again, if you have any more questions, please feel free to contact us at any time. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.